So I've been looking forward to making this video to share my own thoughts about Nvidia and why things are the way they are. Now, going into this earnings, I was really thinking, Nvidia has a very strong chance of obviously beating expectations. I kind of knew that. I mean, considering their performance in the prior quarters, and just how they've done so far. So I expected that it would beat earnings, but what I didn't expect, I'll be honest, is that the stock would actually trade lower. And I also wasn't caught by surprise. And let me explain what I mean. So when it comes to the stock market, you see, when everybody, I mean, if you've seen the headlines on Nvidia, even on the major, mainstream media, everyone has really been looking forward to seeing what Nvidia has to offer. And like they say, it was the most important earnings, that everyone was looking forward to. And I think it will be the most important one that everyone actually looked forward to in the year 2024. And with that amount of pressure, I wasn't surprised that I actually trade lower because you have to remember the majority of the people that control the shares of these companies are institutional investors. These are people that have billions and billions of dollars to move the market. It is very easy for this stock to be trading close to 150 already, assuming those institutional investors did what everybody expected. But the institutional investors, they have a way of working. That's the truth about it. If everyone could predict the market and got the results that they predicted, I'm talking about retail investors and everybody, both you and whoever, right, could predict the market and got what they wanted, guess what? Everybody will be playing the game and everybody will be making money out of the market. But the institutional investors know what they are doing. They know what they were doing, especially after all the other Mag 7 earnings were already kind of digested, apart from Nvidia, of course. If you think about it, the market started trading off almost a week to maybe 2 weeks prior to Nvidia's earning. I'm talking about the market, not just the market itself, but I'm talking about the Mag 7, like the tech stocks, the major tech stocks, started selling off slowly. Microsoft went down to close to 408. Tesla went down to about 202 or so. Apple went down to about 220, if I remember correctly. What do you call it? AMD went down as well. Google went down as well. All of them went down. And they always say that towards this season that the market tends to sell off, especially going to September, that the market tends to sell off. But the reality remains that this cyclical movement, I mean, they consider they are trying to do this rotation and they're rotating out of tech stocks. They're trying to move into a low cap or medium to low cap funds or companies and all this stuff. They can always say that, right? That's the truth about it. They can always say that. But the reality remains that the funds were being moved around, especially to sell off these tech stocks. And we could see some of it even today. This morning, Apple got up to 230. Of course, there's a bit of news behind that. But also, Microsoft went up to about 421. Google went up to about 165. Amazon went up to about 172, if I remember correctly. The point is, these stocks went up higher, but before the end of the day, they all sold off. And Nvidia actually did so well, never really got a chance. That's to tell you that these investors, institutional investors, by the way, they know exactly what they're doing. And this is to now tell you why you shouldn't fall for this trap or this old gimmicks that they do. Because at the end of the day, every bank, every institutional company out there, in terms of whether they're into finance, a bank, JP Morgan, Bank of America, all of them are all given their price targets for Nvidia are in the ranges of maybe 130 to like 150. Majority of them are giving ranges of price targets between 130 to 150. So why is Nvidia still in selling for 118, even though they beat expectations? Again, my own thought process is this. Again, this is just my opinion, of course. Understand that if everyone could predict the market, then everybody will be making a lot of money. And these institutional investors will not be able to justify their jobs anymore. That is just it. That, in my own opinion. If everyone could predict the market and trade it and be successful at it 80% of the time, guess what? The institutional investors are out of work. So in order to really prove that we need them and they understand, there's something more that they have to provide, this is what happens, because most of the money has been given to them through your 401ks, through those ETFs, through those mutual funds that you have, index funds that you have. They have the controlling power. They have the power. And that's why they always say that, you can't, as a retail investor, your chances of succeeding as a trader is much slimmer, because guess what? You don't have the buying power that these guys have. All they have to do is to sell a couple of shares, take their profit, lock in the profit, wait for the stock to sell off even more, and then they go back buying it at a low price. They smoke out the investors, the retail investors like you and I, and then they go back to buy it at a cheaper price. And this is what you want to avoid. So what are my thoughts? Here are my thoughts. If all the retail, institutions out there, I'm talking about the analysts, the professionals, are giving their price targets in the ranges of 130 to 150, majority of them, and these are reliable analysts for most part, then why should you be worried? Now, in as much as I don't try to go by what analysts says, I also go by just what I believe, what I see. Just take your time to look at this financial report from Nvidia, for Christ's sake. In one quarter, this company made a lot of money, and still the projections, and even if you listen to some of their videos and interviews that the CEO actually had, their projections are really solid. There's nothing to worry about. So if that is the case, why not buy more as you have it? You don't have to wait until it's dead cheap. But, whether it's one share, whether it's two shares, whether it's 10, whether it's 100, whatever you can afford, you buy it when you can afford it. And don't worry about the noise. I always say something though. If you want to avoid any form of, just being overwhelmed by the information and details that comes out on all these companies, and you don't have the time to research, and trust me, I don't have a lot of companies because I don't have the time to sit down and look into the details of all of them. Go buy an index fund, buy an ETF, hold it for a long time, and don't worry about it. So that way you don't have to worry about the individual companies, you just hold the ETF. I hope that this hopefully gives you some encouragement not to be discouraged by the results, especially what the price of Nvidia is right now, because again, long term, this is a company that will do well. And in my opinion, I have nothing to worry about, at least for me anyway. If you found value in this one, please don't forget to drop a like on the video. I'd love to see you.